Welcome to Real Estate in Real Time. I'm your host, Woody Zimmerman, here with Mark Skibowski of RE/MAX Lakes. Welcome to the show.
Here we are. Good morning.
Good morning. And last week we talked about, is now a good time to sell?
Yeah, and we get asked that question a lot.
Yes.
Everybody's got a perception on this COVID thing.
Right.
There's one school of thought that is, hey, the market's going to go south, there's going to be a lot of deals out there.
Mm-hmm.
And the other school, which I tend to be in, which is, oh my gosh, the local market is still crazy right now. So it is really a good time to sell if you really want to sell.
Mm-hmm.
And that's always the case, I guess. If you really need to move, well, hey, is it a good time to sell? Yeah, I've got to move. But right now, prices are still holding firm. We're not seeing the doomsday, doom and gloom, the 2008, 2009 crash. Oh my gosh, the market has dropped to nothing.
Right.
We're not seeing that. Prices are still really good. Not much inventory. And there's plenty of buyers out there.
Because it's still considered a seller's market, correct?
I would say it is. Earlier in the winter, it was starting to shift towards that more balanced. We were seeing the days on market starting to increase over time.
Okay.
And we'll do a follow-up here on, once we get all the data in through the end of May, I have a feeling we're going to see prices are up and the days on market is creeping back down, closer to 30 days like we were most of the year last year.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're thinking about selling, there's definitely an advantage to getting out there. Don't let the COVID pandemic scare you, I guess. And I've talked to numerous people. Agents in our office are just busy as all get out. We're getting a lot of phone calls showing a lot of property. And better than that, we're writing offers and getting offers accepted.
Yeah.
Showing property is great. We get asked, are you busy? Yeah, I'm busy, but okay, are you busy selling?
Mm-hmm.
Or are you busy out just driving around showing property?
Right.
Because there's a big difference. This is a for-profit business.
Sure, right.
If we don't sell, we don't eat.
Of
We're
course.
commission salespeople.
Yeah, right.
So, if you're not selling, it's great to be busy, but I enjoy selling a lot more than just showing.
Well, not only are you selling, but we're still, with it being a seller's market, we're still in a multi-offer situation on a lot of properties.
On a lot of homes. Yeah, we're still seeing it. I think I used that example of the house I had in Pearston. We had 10 showings and 7 offers, in 2 days.
Wow.
It's amazing to see that. I had a $500,000 house that we had a multiple offer situation on. Mm-hmm. We're seeing it more and more.
Well, I don't know, and tell me if I'm correct or not, but it seems like with this situation with COVID-19, that the government is just responding to it. The government or the banking system, I don't know, but it just seems like rates are so low that people are trying to utilize those rates either by buying a new property or refinancing or something. And I don't know if that happened back in 2008, 2009 like it is happening right now.
No, I don't think it did. I think the market dropped so suddenly and there was a slower reaction. There wasn't as much government intervention in 2008, 2009 as there was here. There was a bailout for the big companies, but nothing went to the average Joe. Mm-hmm. Where in this case, I think the government recognized they learned from that 08, 09.
Yeah.
I think a different administration handled it completely different than what we had back then. I think the stimulus checks that went out, I think the offering, while it's a blessing and a curse, the additional $600 a week for unemployment, employers are dealing with that now as we've reopened and trying to bring people back to work. There are folks that, hey, this is pretty nice. I can stay at home till July 31st and get an extra $600 a week in unemployment. Now, I'm not saying that's for everybody, right? Mm-hmm. But there are those that in the income scale who they're making more on unemployment than they were making, when they were working. Mm-hmm. So, all of those things, the stimulus money, the stock market's taken back off again. I think there's hope. I think the economy didn't tank as bad as what we thought. Now, you wouldn't have said that mid-March.
No, right?
And the stock market went south.
Yeah.
Business is shutting down. The country was essentially locked down, for 6 to 8 weeks. Some states are still just, in phase 3 or getting towards phase 4 of the opening. The economic situation hasn't gone as negative as what we thought. Mm-hmm. Interest rates are great. So that works well for sellers. And if you're buying, it's a great time to buy, with the exception of you're not going to find any steals. There are no deals to be had in a seller's market. There's just not. That's the reality of it. If it, we all sit around, we talk around the water cooler, prices are going to drop because of this COVID thing. That hasn't been the case. That's not what I'm seeing. Demand is still high. Professor Skibowski would say, go back to the economic thing, right? Supply, demand.
Yeah.
If supply is low, demand is high, price is going to rise, and that's the situation that we're in right now.
Okay, so it definitely is a good time to sell. So we're going to talk about that coming up here next. You're listening to Real Estate in Real Time. Welcome back. You're listening to Real Estate in Real Time. I'm your host, Woody Zimmerman, here with Mark Skibowski of RE/MAX Lakes. And we've determined it is a good time to sell.
It is a good time to sell, so let's talk about the process, I guess. So, the biggest thing, and I don't care, if you've got your house in mint condition and you price it wrong, still probably not going to sell. Or it's going to sit out there a lot longer. Eventually it'll sell, but you'll probably have to reduce your price in order to get it sold. So pricing is still important. For years, it's all about location, location, location.
Yep.
Well, that is still a key piece. You've got to have the right location and the right price in order to get your home sold. If you've got if you price your home at $400,000 and you're in a neighborhood of $120,000 houses, going to be awful tough to sell that $400,000 house because people are going to wonder why.
Sure.
Why is your house worth, your similar configuration, square footage, all of that? Why is your house worth X?
But we raised Johnny there.
Yeah, we raised Johnny there, and we replaced the drywall. That really adds a lot of value to it. Now, it can make it competitively in the marketplace, and the way to do that is to have an agent come out, take a look at your house, and do what's called a market analysis.
Okay.
A comparative market analysis, a CMA. Everybody's got a different term for it, but basically, what do we think my house is worth? And it's not just going on Zillow, because we've had that discussion with Zillow. Well, Zillow says my house should be XYZ. And again, going back to it, Zillow is very accurate when the houses are all the same, similar condition, similar age, some square footage, same neighborhood, all of that stuff. Zillow can be fairly accurate because it's an automated model. Okay. It takes data, crunches it through a formula and says, poof, there's your price. But when you're pricing properties that they're dissimilar to those around it, an agent they're in the market every day, they can pull those comps and help you come up with a number that makes sense. So getting that price is an important piece.
Okay.
That agent, once they've done the market analysis, you're going to sign a listing contract. The listing contract is going to spell out, exactly what the terms of the agreement are, what you're selling. Are you including personal property in it? A lot of times there's sheds that are not on permanent foundations. That is not real property, that is personal property. Now, most people would say, well, I'm not taking my shed. That makes no sense. But the fact is, there have been cases where people do. When you buy them, a lot of times they bring a fork truck out, they set it.
Yeah.
If you're selling it, you don't want to leave that shed. If it's not included with the listing, if it's not included as part of the purchase agreement, technically they could take that shed. Swing sets. That's the other one we get. We don't see as many of the old metal ones in the backyard, right? Where your dad took, 3 days putting it together, cussing and carrying on because the screws didn't fit or all of that stuff.
Right.
But if it's built in, if it's permanently affixed, then it should stay. The listing contract is going to spell out the terms of the listing contract. Okay. How long we're going to list for? Are we going to list for 6 months? Are we going to list for a year? Are we going to list for 90 days? All of those terms are spelled out in the listing contract. So again, you're going to meet with that agent. They're going to go over that. They're going to give you a net sheet. They're going to give you a rough idea, an estimate of what your net proceeds are going to be when your property sells. And it isn't always accurate. It can be close, but we estimate what the title insurance costs are because there's costs to selling.
Of course, yeah.
And the seller pays the commission.
Oh, right.
And a lot of people don't know that. When you're working, when you're selling your house, you're paying not only your agent, but you're paying the buyer's agent as well.
Yeah, so for both parties.
For both parties. So whatever that commission is on the listing contract, you're paying the buyer's agent as well. So when we do that net sheet, we're showing you what your potential sales price is. We're going to show what your potential property tax bills are or the amounts owed are, because in Indiana we pay in arrears. In Kosciuszko County we pay in arrears. So it's always, what are my taxes? Why am I paying? Well, you've got to bring the taxes current. The taxes you're paying this year are actually for last year.
Okay.
So the seller will bring you will be, or your estimated net will be when it's all over. So we sell at this price, here's our expenses, what's my net? And that's an important piece, because if that net isn't right, maybe it's not the right time for you to sell.
Right.
Now, the only caveat I would put on that is, just because you need XYZ for proceeds doesn't mean we can raise the top number up so that you receive that. Because ultimately the house has to be priced right. Right? Wasn't that what we talked about?
Right.
Location and price is a significant part of the sales process.
And it also has to appraise.
And then it's got to appraise. Absolutely. And if it doesn't appraise, doesn't do us any good. You know, the buyer could potentially walk. So on the listing side, we're going to do that market analysis. We're going to complete all the listing paperwork. And I say all of that, you know, again, the agent's responsibility is to make sure you're legal, because there's some legal ramifications to not completing all of the forms. If the house is built prior to 1978, you have to have a lead-based paint. That's federal. That's a federal requirement, a lead-based paint disclosure. You've got to tell potential buyers the house could or does not have lead-based paint to my knowledge. It's not a big deal to do, but if you don't have that form, it could be a big deal. If it's residential property, single family, you're going to have a seller's disclosure. You need to make sure that you disclose to the buyer the condition of the property as you know it. So those are pieces that the agent is doing to make sure you're in conformance with, or in compliance with, you know, state requirements. So, and keep you protected. That's the whole idea.
Right, because there's a lot of for sale by owners that people think like, oh, I can do this.
I can do that.
And it, you know, that would make me nervous to do that, because there's a lot of forms that I don't know how to get my hands on, or I don't know which ones are needed.
Right. Absolutely. So working with an agent is a good thing. Can you sell for sale by owner? Absolutely, when you got a perfect buyer seller. But you know, the agents, we do this every day. Hopefully we sell more than one a year, or one in our lifetime.
Right. Yeah.
so we've been down the road before.
Well, it's also the art of negotiation that, you know, you guys master, or, you know, the good ones master, to help get the deal finalized.
Get it finalized and try to get you the most we possibly can in selling your house.
All right, Mark, we got to wrap up, but your contact information?
Sure. Website's lakes-realtors.com. Phone number's 574-834-1233.
All right, very good. Have yourself a wonderful weekend. You've been listening to Real Estate in Real Time.